how would you segment that market, or what are kind of the key areas that you think are relevant that these instruments are targeting? So what applications, disease categories? Maybe we can start there.
Sure. So let me just give you a sentence or two about my background, just to put this in the right context. So I actually did instrument development at Illumina as the Director of Technology Development there for 5 years. So I think that hopefully I can talk to the things that you're interested in. I was involved in the high-seq, actually starting in the GA, high-seq, 10X, MySeq, and the CMOS project that Illumina just recently announced. I managed that project as well.
Okay.
So basically, the DNA sequencing market is a maturing industry right now, and basically what that means is that in terms of instrumentation, is that for the first, let's say, 5 years of the NGS, the next generation sequencing market, people, and especially Illumina, were making generic or general purpose sequencers. So if you look at the genome analyzer at the high-seq and also the 454 platform, and also at what Ion Torrent was trying to do in the beginning, they were all trying to make instruments that were good for everything. And you'd basically buy different kits, and you'd have different workflows for different types of applications. Okay? Now, in a certain sense, Illumina is still playing that game, but its competitors are not. So basically, what is happening is what's happening in a lot of maturing markets. They are fragmenting. Okay, and so what you find right now is that the market is fragmenting into there is a high end, there is a mid end, and there is a low end, which doesn't yet really exist, but is developing pretty quickly. So the name of the game in DNA sequencing in the first years was really cost per base and throughput per run, which are both related very closely. So basically, when you do a DNA sequencing run, there is a certain amount of data that you're looking to get out of the instrument, and that data basically has to do with how many strands of DNA you. So you have to tell me if I'm going too basic or too advanced for you. Okay?
No, this is good. This is good.
Okay. So basically, the idea is when you do a DNA sequencing run, you take the very long strands of DNA and you chop them up with enzymes, and the size of the strands that you chop them up to is quite important. But the throughput of your system really depends on how many strands you can read simultaneously, and what is the length of each strand. Okay, so to be very simplistic about it. So there is a very large component of the cost per run that is fixed. So, for example, you need to put a flow cell in there, in the instrument. Now, that flow cell, it changes, the cost changes whether it's a small flow cell or a large flow cell, but if you can pack the DNA strands more densely on that substrate, you're getting a better utilization, so lower cost per base. Okay? Same goes for the reagents. Basically, the reagent volume for a given chemistry is fixed on a substrate. So if you put more strands on the same substrate, you have a net gain. Okay, so basically the game for the first few years was how can we make substrates that are larger and denser, and how can we make the DNA strands, the read length, longer. Okay, and if you look at the sequence of sequencers of the GA, the high-seq, they were playing that game. But basically what happened was, first of all, there was a market disruptor in the Ion Torrent chip. And that forced Illumina to come up with a mid-market instrument, which was the MySeq. And the MySeq is optimized for a different parameter, which is the CapEx cost. So that's very, very important. And basically, instead of doing